The bellwitch was first heard of in 1817 by John Bell, the head of the Bell family. The entity made strange noises, pulled the covers off the bed, and even slapped and pinched family members. It also spoke to them and knew things that only family members could know.
What happened next is the stuff of Halloween legend and really has led to the best documented ghost story in history.
And it's these hauntings that makes this the most famous and well-documented paranormal case in American history. This is the haunting of the Bell Witch.
During the hauntings, the Bell family was affected by a host of paranormal encounters. Everything from a two-headed demonic dog that tried to attack John Bell to a manifestation of a woman who would appear before the Bell children in the middle of the night.
It was believed by many after the fact that the cause of all of these paranormal encounters that the Bell family was dealing with was that of a lady named Kate Batts, but our records suggest otherwise.
According to known detailed reports, there was a more sinister and demonic entity likely responsible for the attacks on the Bell family that had nothing to do with Kate Batts.
Actually, the real Kate Batts was a family member of the Bell family. She was known to be an outcast of the community of Red River, and some even called her a witch. And it was these attributes that made her the prime suspect for many of the theories of the haunting of the Bell family.
It's not just the hauntings and the theories that make this case so intriguing. About a year into the hauntings, John Bell began to experience neurological issues. It began with discomfort when he tried to swallow, and then led to other facial twitches that grew to affect other parts of the body, and even total paralysis of his mouth. This all eventually led to John falling into a stupor and then passing away in December of 1820.
But although many claim that the witch killed him, all of his ailments pointed to arsenic, which could have likely been distributed to him over a period of time.
But the family claimed that it was the entity that called herself Kate who had been poisoning John Bell, and even spoke out and directed them to a vial of dark liquid that his wife reportedly found, and after feeding a small amount of this liquid to the family cat, they watched it die immediately.
On top of that, the entity actually engaged in conversations with the family, particularly John Bell Jr. It showed a strange mix of both hostility and compassion throughout the entire family, while tormenting some and even showing kindness to others. One such example was Lucy Bell, whom it proclaimed as the most perfect woman living today. The entity also reportedly expressed disapproval of Betsy Bell's engagement to a man named Josh Gardner, which according to the case files led to Betsy breaking off the engagement in 1821 for fear of reprisal by the entity.
After John Bell's death, the activity in the Bell family's house significantly decreased. The entity promised to return in 7 years, which it reportedly did in 1828. But the disturbances were far less severe. During this return, it would shake beds, pull off covers, and even manifest itself again to the Bell family.
So cuz, I gotta ask you a question. What would you do if you woke up at like 2 in the morning and there was some like ghostly apparition leaning over you in the bed?
What does this ghostly apparition look like?
I would assume if it's a witch, 90 years old, moles on its face, wrinkly, maybe in a see-through torn up nightgown just looming over top of you.
Well, you know, before you gave me that description, I was debating between a con and a hobgoblin net, but after that description, I'm going with the con.
But according to the case, the most prominent encounter the entity had was with John Bell Jr. See, the entity reportedly engaged in conversations with John for 3 consecutive days in 1828. During these interactions, it spoke to John and talked to him about past, present, and future encounters and occurrences that actually happened. In the end, the entity stated that it would remove itself from the Bell family, but return 107 years later.
That would have brought the next promised haunting to be in 1935. But none of the residents residing in the area recounted any significant phenomena at the time. However, there have been paranormal encounters since then around the area, and most notably in and near the Bellwitch Cave.
The cave is 420 feet long and only has a single entry point, and it's directly against the Bell family property where all of these paranormal encounters supposedly happened. And it's believed by many of the locals that it's here where the entity fled when it finished dealing with the Bell family.
And according to our case investigation, it is here in this area where the next potential encounter with the entity known as the Bellwitch could take place. According to the predictions that the entity made to John Bell, many thought that it was declaring a return for 107 years. However, the actual recorded statement was in 10 7-year cycles, which was misstated as 107 years, when in actuality, it would have been 70 years instead. Given the entity's promise to return every 7 years, the next period that it could possibly return is the fall of 2024, which is the 28th 7-year cycle since it last spoke to John Bell Jr.
So, could we encounter the entity again? Will it actually appear this time and show itself to us? The only way to know is to go out there and investigate it when its next promised return happens.
So if you want us to go on down to Tennessee and try to capture proof of this entity, let us know by grabbing that like button and hot Tua, spit on that thing!
Or you could just comment below and let us know if you want us to go out there and capture evidence of the Bell Witch.
Spit on that thing.